Welcome to HomeFront Sitrep. I hope you're in for a great show today because I'm just a veteran talking about what's on my mind and maybe yours.
You can find HomeFront Sitrep on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. You can also check out HomeFront Sitrep's YouTube channel.
Buckle up, the show is starting.
Out on the edge of the battle and back, we've carried the weight and we've walked every track. From desert dust to the fire at home, we've learned how to fight, how to stand alone. But no one tells you what comes after the war, when silence is louder than the guns we bore. That's where we speak, that's where we heal, stories too real for Hollywood reels. Welcome to the front lines you don't always see, when warriors to battle just differently. This is our check-in, our voice, our step. This is the HomeFront Sitrep podcast. For the fallen, the fighting, and those who came home. For the brothers and sisters who still feel alone. We're holding the line with truth and respect. This is the HomeFront Sitrep podcast. For the fallen, the fighting, and those who came home. For the brothers and sisters who still feel alone. We're holding the line with truth and respect. This is the HomeFront Sitrep podcast. It ain't all medals and waving flags. There's pain in the silence and weight in the facts. But we've got a mic and a mission to share, to tell the damn truth, cause somebody's gotta care. We laugh, we cry, we cuss, we pray. We honor the ones who ain't here today. From basic to battle and back to the block. This is our rhythm of round table talk. Welcome to the front lines you don't always see, when warriors to battle just differently. This is our check-in, our voice, our step. This is the HomeFront Sitrep podcast. Still heavy in dreams out of reach, for the lessons the textbooks could never teach. We're sounding off, no filter, no prep. This is the HomeFront Sitrep podcast. So if you've worn the boots or love someone who did, if you swallowed your hurt and kept it all hid, pull up a chair, you're not alone. Welcome to the front lines you don't always see, where courage meets scars and raw honesty. This is our anthem, our truth intercept. This is the HomeFront Sitrep podcast. For the ones still standing and those we've lost yet, for every single story we'll never forget. We speak so others won't forget. This is the HomeFront Sitrep podcast. Real talk, real vets, real life. HomeFront Sitrep podcast, where the mission continues.
Hey, welcome everybody to a Sunday edition of HomeFront Sitrep. How is everybody doing out there? As you can see, I am flying solo tonight. I will be interviewing our guest tonight, and I'm super excited about it. But let me first talk about last week and this weekend, man. I will tell you, last week was amazing. We had a pretty good week. It got cold a few days, some snow. Like it went from 70 degrees to 30 degrees and started snowing the next day. So it's really weird. It's that Kentucky bipolar weather. It's just crazy. But overall, a good week at work. And then this weekend was even much better. So Saturday night was senior prom night for my baby, my youngest. She hasn't wore a dress in years. I don't know how long. Usually she wears a pantsuit or something of that nature. She does not wear dresses. It's just not her style. And for senior prom night, she went out with a bang. She had this beautiful baby blue dress that shocked the world. Let me tell you, it was phenomenal. And her boyfriend, Nicholas, has never seen her wear a dress, like never. It's always like pantsuits and stuff like that. And I got his facial reaction when she came out and surprised him because he thought she was wearing a suit. So, so it was a phenomenal night. My wife just said it was elementary school since she wore a dress. So it's been a minute. And she just shocked everybody, and she looked very radiant, and it was just sad to say it's going to be the last one, the last senior prom that we have to deal with until grandbabies many years from now, hopefully. But we'll see. But no, man, it's been a great week, and I know Gunny wishes he was here tonight, but he was super busy this weekend with Team Fast Tracks doing all of that. Just been ripping and running the whole weekend, so he needed a day to recover. So he's going to take today off and come back tomorrow and join us on tomorrow's episode. But tonight, man, I'm super excited about tonight. We have a spouse of a veteran, and she's a badass. Let me just tell you, she's a badass. If you Google her, let me tell you, she is. You wouldn't want to meet her in a dark alley. Let's put it that way. You wouldn't want to meet her in a dark alley. She is the author of Born to Compete, A Man Without a War. He fought for purpose, not medals. She gave his story its voice. Together, they built a legacy no war could silence. That right there just says it all. I mean, that's powerful right there in itself. About the book, Born to Compete, A Man Without War is a raw, hard-hitting memoir of Danny Zaino, a veteran, martial arts master, and Hollywood fight choreographer who faced his toughest battles far from any battlefield. Told through the voice of his wife, the story cuts through the silence of PTSD, carried by family strength and the unforgiving grit learned under stunt legend Kim. I'm probably going to butcher this name, Kahana Sr. What emerges is a legacy forged in survival, discipline, and unbreakable love. Bro, that right there should tell you everything that you need to know about this book here. And it's called Born to Compete, A Man Without a War. You know, and we talk about that a lot here on Homefront Sitrep, combat vets versus non-combat vets and the difference in service. But the key thing is we all served, and we all know that PTSD can be from anything. I mean, it could, any tragic thing that happened in your life, you could get PTSD from it. What's going on, Chris? How are you tonight, sir? So, no matter where you're at, whether you were in Haiti, whether you were in Korea, Okinawa, Afghanistan, Iraq, Iran, wherever you served in this beautiful country's armed services, everybody can get PTSD from anything. So that's super cool. And then, life in general. What's up, Steve-O? How are you, sir? Life in general can give you PTSD. Any tragic event could cause PTSD. So I'm super excited about it. This is her first book that Theresa has wrote. So she's super excited about it. I want to thank Donna from Donna Inc. She's the one that reached out to me and said, "Hey, I got a great story, veteran spouse that's got a great story that would be perfect for your show." So I want to give Donna Inc., which I'll throw their link up here on the screen, donnainc.net. So you can go to donnainc.net and you can check out everything that you need to know about the book. So go check it out. But that's enough of me bumping my gums. Let's bring Miss Theresa up to the show. Welcome, Miss Theresa.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on the show. I really appreciate it.
Well, first off, I want to say thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule because I know you're super, super busy. And I want to thank, like I said, I want to thank Donna for connecting us. But do me a favor, introduce yourself to the world of Homefront Sitrep if you don't mind.
Okay. Theresa Zaino. This is my first book, Born to Compete, A Man Without a War. But I actually have a military background too as an Air Force brat. So I was born into an Air Force family. My dad was 20 years in the Air Force. He was actually from Blackpool, England, and joined the American Air Force because he met my mom and he wanted to figure out a way how he could keep that relationship going. And he served 20 years. And so I lived over in England twice and upstate New York and New Jersey. And then he retired here in Florida. And I met my husband. I was only 20 years old. He had only been out of the military about a year. And he we've been together like 40 years. He got me into the martial arts. He didn't really talk a whole lot about his military experience, in the first years, but things started coming out in the open as years went by. And yeah, but we had one of the top teams in martial arts. We were sponsored by Pepsi Cola Corporation. We had national team. Pepsi Show Team was our team. And that's how we kind of first got in entertainment, because we put on these really awesome, unique martial arts shows. They were done to music. We had weapons. We had people flipping and jumping all over the place. It wasn't just your average show. And that's how we first started out. And then we got into doing podcasts and interviewing people. We had a TV show that we called Martial Arts Showbiz TV. It was kind of like a family interview-based reality show.
Yeah.
And then we had a show called The Road to Hollywood. We had podcasts, Danny and Theresa Zaino's Martial Arts Radio Hour, and we had the Action Entertainment Hollywood News. We met a veteran, a Korean War veteran. His name was Kim Kahana Sr., and he really helped my husband out a lot, and he got us into the Hollywood movie industry. My husband became a fight choreographer, and we learned a lot from him. My kids all did stunts with him. We all trained with him. So we kind of took our martial arts into entertainment, so to speak. Cool. And yeah, I also became a talent agent. I have Action Entertainment Talent Agency. And we have our own production company, Living the Dream Productions. We now have a comedy cooking sitcom show called Hardcore Cooking with Danny Zaino. Because you all know that you got to keep the mind busy, especially with PTSD. And This is a great way to do it. We have a lot of fun. It's kind of like a crazy comedy show with cooking in between these comedy segments. And it's really helped a lot. And that's all in the book. But it was a long road, our whole, everything that we went through. It wasn't easy.
Yeah, the trials and tribulations. I mean, you when you were talking about when you and him first got together, how he didn't talk about his service. My wife will testify, if she's still in here. We've been together for 23 years, and she didn't start learning things about my military service until probably about 2.5 years ago, when I started opening up more. I mean, she knew I was in the, she knew I was in the Marines. She knew that were places that I have gone and stuff, but she didn't know exactly what I did while I was in. And I was infantry. I was a ground pounder, bullet sponge, however you want to look at it. And my wife and kids, I wanted to protect them from that, because I've seen some stuff an 18-year-old and a 19-year-old had never seen ever. But I have seen that, and I wanted to protect them from that. And for the longest time, I didn't think I had a problem, like with my PTSD, my anxiety, my hypervigilance. I was like, oh, there's nothing wrong with me. I was blaming everybody else. I wasn't blaming myself. I was like, oh, I'm good. There's nothing wrong with me. But yet here I am. I was quick to anger and always, worried about my six, like when I'm going in restaurants and stuff like that. Which is not normal civilian behavior, you know what I'm saying? Because when most civilians walk into a restaurant, they're not scanning the area for threats. They're not looking at all the exits. They're looking to do whatever. When I walk into a restaurant, it's I have to make sure my back is or I'm facing the door, the main door coming in and stuff of that nature. And it's took my wife and kids a while to get used to me doing that. But it's kind of like a normal thing now. But now that I'm going through therapy and working on getting better, it has kind of quelled down a little bit. But still, it's still there. I still worry about it. So I definitely understand, what's going on, Rich Monica. So I definitely understand, him, not opening up right away and living with PTSD. And this is something that you could probably testify. It's hard. It's hard because you never know. It's kind of like, kind of like being bipolar, I guess, kind of in a sense, because one minute we could be normal and the next minute we're like at 100 degrees higher, temperature wise.
It's hard to recognize what the triggers might be. Over
Yes.
time, you get better at it, but in the
Yeah.
beginning, you're clueless, and yeah.
So here you guys are. You're a family. So it's you and your husband. How many children do you guys have?
Three, two boys and a girl.
Two boys and girls, and you're all into martial arts.
Yes, our whole family does martial arts. We're all black belts.
Now that's awesome. So you're an 8th degree, if I remember.
I'm actually a 10th now.
Oh, you're a 10th now. Okay. Somewhere on the internet said you were an 8th degree. So we need to track them down and beat them up because they got it wrong. So what's that like as a family dynamic doing martial arts together? Because a lot of families out there don't have that something that the whole family does together.
Right. So my husband, being the military guy, we were in his army, and my book talks about that. He really didn't, well, I got into it. He would always bug me, hey, you should learn how to defend yourself. I was going to college at the time, and I had to take a PE for a prerequisite. So they did have a self-defense. And I said to him, well, let me try that, and I really enjoyed it. So the next thing I know, I'm in his martial arts class. Originally he taught in his parents' garage, and it was into a studio that we co-rented with somebody, to the YMCA, the school board. We had a couple of commercial schools. And then we ended up building a dojo in our own home that we trained a lot of national top team players in. But, he had a strict regimen. We had to do martial arts. My kids didn't really have a choice. They trained when we had to do shows. They trained 7 days a week sometimes. It didn't matter if they were doing other sports. After that, they had to come and train and do their martial arts. And, it was hard on them. They talk about that. Maybe sometimes they missed out on doing some other stuff. But in the big picture of it, they all know how to defend themselves. They all learned how to focus. And they will tell you this, and they've said it, that they feel that their success today is because of all that discipline that they had.
Yeah, I could. I mean, I know with the Marine Corps martial arts program that the Marine Corps implemented and stuff like that, I could definitely. I've always been interested in martial arts. So first off, I want to say rest in peace to Chuck Norris, because that man was a legend in the martial arts world. So unfortunately, he lost the battle at 86 years old. So I want to give him thanks there, because growing up, Chuck Norris, Steven Seagal, all of the big name players back then were something that I grew up watching. Always wanted to do martial arts, but life happened, life happened. So I never got into it. And the sport itself is so disciplined. And I can understand where your kids are coming from. Here they are, trying to play sports at school, and plus, doing the martial arts, because martial arts is one of those sports, and a lot of people say, "Oh, it's not sports." Well, it is a sport, and it's very, very much so a sport, where it comes down to strength, mentally and physically, and the whole strategy that goes into when you're competing, on how you're going to beat your opponent, because your opponent is just as skilled as you are when it comes to martial arts, and that discipline does carry on throughout the rest of your life. And it's just like anybody who served in the military. Once that discipline's in you, it's in you. You don't lose it. It carries on into everything that you do in life afterwards. Right. Now, some people might get a little lackadaisical with things, but for the most part, you still have that strict discipline routine that you do daily. So, right. Now, do
A lot
your kids?
of my husband's instructors, it used to be back in the day that they all came from military. Most of
Mhm.
his instructors, that's how it
Yeah.
was.
Now, do your kids still do martial arts?
They don't do it like they used to, they've all, they're in their 30s now. My eldest just got engaged. Last but certainly not least, my other two are married. So, they're all starting their families and stuff like that. And I think that's the great thing about martial arts is you may not do it for a while, but you can always come back to it. And if you trained like we trained, you never really forget. It's always in your mind.
Right.
You're always thinking about, if I walked into that room, it might be an unsafe situation. How am I going to handle it? It's always there going around in your mind. Yeah.
So all right, let's move on to the book. Because I know we got to keep it kind of book centered because the book is getting ready to come out. So when is the book release?
Well, it's been released. You can buy it on donnainc.net. It's also on Amazon and on Ingram, and it's going to be on a few other sites coming up too.
Now, the second something I saw said second edition. Is that what's getting ready to be?
Yeah, we had a first edition that came out. A lot of times, publicists will suggest to do it. You put it out. You get people to do some reviews on it. Then you have a chance to look through it and see if you want to make any changes, which is what we did. We made some changes, so that's why it's saying it's the second edition.
Nice.
We kind of tweaked it, so to speak.
So I'm going to go over some of the themes that are in the book here that are listed here on this press release.
Okay.
Inner conflict and PTSD survival, discipline, martial arts, and identity, reinvention, performance and entertainment, family resiliency and love, U.S. service and civil reintegration, faith, healing, and advocacy. So we kind of already touched on the PTSD part of it because you were a military brat, so you got secondary PTSD from your time growing up with your father, and then when you married into a lot of people didn't know about secondary PTSD, but my kids will tell you they from dealing with dealing with me, they have PTSD from the things that I deal with. And then you married a veteran, and he's dealing with his own PTSD from his time in service.
Right.
That's a huge battle to overcome. And I believe in this case with you guys, martial arts helped you guys overcome that.
I believe so. Yeah. It's all about keeping busy when you've got PTSD. It's one thing I learned. So you got to keep your mind busy because my husband's PTSD came out worse as he entered his 50s because the kids left home, more time on your hands. He wasn't working as much as he was, and it came full force. And it was tough.
I'm dreading that for my wife because my youngest is getting ready to graduate high school, and she'll be off to college. And they're both going to be, roughly about an hour, 40 minutes from mom and dad. So my wife is going to have to put up with me. So it's going to be fun. So we talked about discipline, we talked about martial arts, and we talked about identity. Let's talk about reinvention, performance, and entertainment. How you guys kind of got into that.
Okay. So my husband's PTSD was really coming full force, and we had met this his name was Kim Kahana. He passed last year. He was 94. He was a Hollywood stunt legend. He was Charles Bronson's stunt double for
nice.
Yeah. So we were fortunate to meet him, and he kind of took us under his wing. And he came. We had invited him to a Hall of Fame that we were throwing, and where we were awarding people, especially people that had taken their martial arts into film. And he had done that because he worked with Chuck Norris, speaking of Chuck Norris, and many people. But we did a performance at the event. We gave him an award, and he pulled us aside and said, "Hey, I want to teach you the right way to do film and the right way to perform, because you've been doing it all your life with these live shows. You've been performing. Your husband's been a choreographer. You just never did it in front of the camera. You did like live theater." So he taught us everything about filming and, you know, how to do a proper resume in Hollywood, and he taught us everything.
Mm.
Yeah,
that's super cool. I mean, to have a legend like that bring you under his wing and teach you everything that he knows. For one, that helps you guys for success in the business, because Hollywood is one of those businesses that is very cutthroat. If you don't have somebody to teach you the right way,
yeah, he showed us the ropes.
yeah.
But I want to say he really helped my husband, because the difficult part with my husband, Danny, was, you know, he served in Korea on the DMZ. It was during the Iran crisis, and there was a lot of screwed up stuff that was going on there. He was military police, so he was first responder. And when he got there, like I think it was 3 days after he got there, the whole South Korean, the president and his whole cabinet was assassinated, and the North Koreans were sneaking over in these tunnels. So he saw a lot. He did combat situations. He has the Korean Service Medal that they actually gave the veterans that served in the Korean War, because if you did 3 or more months of combat, you got that. So, and a lot of people didn't understand that. And he suppressed a lot. He has like amnesia. He can't remember a lot of the stuff that happened to him. He had to find military buddies to help him. His commanding officer, when he left Korea, he went to Fort Bliss, was Lieutenant Bill Blissett. He helped him out a lot. He contacted him because he saw him on the internet. And he felt bad that he was going through all that stuff. And he said, you know, hey, there's a book, you can get it on Amazon. It's called Korea on the Brink, 7980. It's everything that happened when your husband was there. And it was written by John Wickham Jr., a general that was over all the forces at that time in 79 in Korea. So that really helped too, because it kind of brought a lot of things to light, because he suppressed so much stuff, but he had some bad PTSD, bad flashbacks, the whole 9 yards. It was really a tough situation for him to go through, and our family.
Yeah. I can tell you right now, there's things that from my military service that I don't remember. Like, and it's what we do in the military is we compartmentalize that, we push it to the back of our brain, and we just forget about it. And like there's things that I remember doing, and I remember other people being there. I can see their faces, but I don't remember their names.
Right.
And it's just like, okay, I know the people, like I can see their face, but I don't remember their names. And there's other situations where I'm like, somebody will tell me, like Gunny, because we were talking about Gunny, my co-host. We served together, and we were in Haiti together in 98, I believe it was 98. And there's things that he remembers that I remember differently.
Yeah.
Like it's like, okay, well, you remember it this way, but I remember it this way. And he's like, no, it was this way. And so there's things that you just compartmentalize and you push down, and eventually, once you work through your what are they called, trauma bonds, I think it's what they're called. Once you work through those, your brain slowly lets that information back out once you work through it. And unfortunately, a lot of veterans never work through those trauma bonds, and they take that trauma with them to their grave, unfortunately. And sometimes that is early on in life, and sometimes they live to be 80 years old and die naturally, but they always deal with that trauma up until they can't deal with it anymore, unfortunately.
Right. Yeah.
So let's talk about the book, because I know Miss Donna, she's going to want us to talk about the book. Uh, so, Born to Compete, A Man Without a War. Does that title mean something?
Yes, it does.
Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah. So Born to Compete is because everything that he's accomplished in his life, he was an athlete from a very young age, excelled in sports, went into the military. I think it was like 3 days after high school, got into the martial arts there in Korea, continued on with it. He was on the Army karate team. And then when he met me and like our whole family situation, everything he's done, he's always just gone for it. People used to always just say, how are you going to do that? And be like, oh, I'll figure it out. I'm going to do this. I'm going to throw national karate tournaments. We threw like 30 of them. I think we can do it better than some people that are doing it out there. I'm going to film. I'm going to have my own podcast. I'm going to have my own TV show. I'm going to have my own martial arts magazine. He was just always a go-getter. He was born to compete. But we decided to have kind of like that second title, A Man Without a War, because with all the hardship that he went through with this PTSD, he felt like that because we would get, I'm sorry to say it, a lot of shit because we weren't in a named war, or he wasn't in a named war, but he did combat. And then he tried to explain it to people and they don't understand. So we kind of felt, lost, like he was in combat, but I'm a man without a war. So we tied it all in.
Yeah, I love that kind of goes into that, whole military aspect. And it's like the Vietnam vets, that was considered a conflict. It wasn't considered a war. Same thing with Korea, it was considered a conflict and not a war. And it's just like, come on, man. If somebody that is wanting to kill me is shooting bullets at me, that's a combat situation.
Right.
I don't care how you look at it. You publicize it however you want. If somebody's shooting live ammo at me and trying to kill me, then that's a wartime situation. It blows my mind.
I agree.
It just blows my mind.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so here it says, not every warrior goes to war. Some fight battles the world never sees. That is so powerful. I love that because there's too many veterans out there that are dealing with PTSD. They're dealing with invisible wounds of war that a lot of civilians don't understand. Like I've got some friends that have handicap placards on their vehicles. They pull into a parking spot. As soon as they pull into the parking spot, some Karen comes up. Well, there's nothing wrong with you. You should park back there.
Right.
That's so powerful that you have that here. Not every warrior goes to war. Some fight battles the world never sees. Do you want to talk about that? Because that's I have a feeling that has a whole lot to do with your life story.
Right, because it's hard for the veterans to come forward and get the help that they really need. It's hard. Like you were saying, a lot of them don't, my husband wanted to get help, but it was really hard for him too. That is not, they had a PTSD program at the West Palm Beach VA Medical Center. That's where he went. His dad actually, in 98, brought him to the VA the first time because he was showing signs. And he started counseling there. But unfortunately, they didn't put him in the PTSD program until I think it was like 2012. And that's a hard program to go to and follow, They told me many times at the hospital, many doctors said, there's plenty of veterans walking around this hospital with PTSD, but they're not in this program because they don't want to follow the protocol. And I had to do it. I wanted to do it too. I wanted to find out about it, how to deal with them. Because before I went to these women's groups that really helped me a lot, I was triggering him without even realizing I was triggering him,
Yeah.
And so those those programs were terrific. You know, I remember the first time I said, wow, I thought that if I closed my eyes, I'd think that all these women were talking about my husband, because all the things were so similar that they went through, and the things that they did, you know. When I first met him, there were signs, but I really didn't understand it back then. I was so young, you know.
Right.
I couldn't disturb him if I walked in on him sleeping, he'd jump up into a fighting stance, you know, the checking the locks every 5 minutes, walking around the house, you know, and you're kind of going, and like you said, little things would trigger you and you get angry. He would always blow it off. Oh, it's my Italian temper, you know. But then as he got older, like I said, and into his 50s, it came full force. Yeah. And so that was so it's, you know, and I'd like to say that unfortunately, the people that you're closest with, your family, are the ones that understand the least. Yeah. No one really understands all that stuff you're going through, except other veterans and people that want to help veterans and those programs. And it's hard. I talk about it in the book, you know, your family, they don't want anything to do with you. They think, you know, you're a jerk, you're an asshole, you know, why are you acting that way? And they don't want to understand, and they distance themselves, almost like you have some type of a disease they're going to catch. And that's really rough, you know, because he grew up in a tight Italian family, and you know, that so was a time for him.
Like I said earlier, my wife and children, they didn't understand a lot of things, because I never let them understand what I was going through. And even with, like, you're talking about a tight-knit family. Like, I grew up in a very tight-knit family where we would get together, you know, 5 or 6 times a year, and it would be the whole family. And you're talking 100, 200 people getting together for Christmas, Thanksgiving, whatever, Easter. And we would have to rent out like a fairgrounds to host us all. You know, that's how, and that was normal, you know, back in the late, you know, I was born in 78. So the first one I remember going to was in probably late 80s, probably. And we probably had about 400 people there. Wow. Now, I will tell you, over time, that has dwindled down. We don't, the extended family don't come around as much, but, you know, grandma and grandpa, we still, you know, every Christmas, every Thanksgiving, my grandma and grandpa's kids and their kids would come together. Now the great grandkids are coming around, so it's not as big as it used to be, but the whole family dynamic is still there. Right. And for me, I pulled away from them, and it's that isolation, you know, that I did. And that was my choice, because I know I'm hard to deal with. My wife will tell you I'm an a-hole. She will tell you I'm an a-hole. And I don't mean to be. It's just how I am. Like, I have a certain way of things, how I want things to go. I have a certain way of how I want things to go, and if it don't go that way, then I'm from 0 to 100 in like 2 seconds. You know, it's just like, it's got to go this way. And and I'm realizing that now, the more that I go through therapy, the more that I talk with other veterans that went through very, very similar situations to what I went through. And I love that you can put this into your book and talk about this candidly, because I will tell you, the more you and Mr. Danny talks about the things that you and him have gone through as a couple, it just makes it easier for you guys, and it'll help him be able to sleep a little better at night. Because my kids, when they were younger, they used to love and run and jump on me and wake me up. I almost punched them one night, and I'm like, ladies, you can't do that.
Right.
If you want to wake dad up from a dead sleep, grab my foot, say, hey, daddy, you know, touch my foot away from my hands or my face. I said, grab me in my ankles and say, hey, shake me that way. Right. And they still do that to this day. You know, they'll come in and they'll touch me around the ankle. Hey, dad, hey dad, hey dad. And my wife, she'll just roll over and say, hey babe, until I
Right.
wake up and say something. They
Right.
won't touch me physically unless they're touching me around my ankles. And it's hard. It's hard.
Well, you learn to adjust, but yeah, people don't understand that. But yeah, I always try to like, if I walk into a room, maybe, do a little
Yeah.
or something, and make myself known because, it's so hard with the PTSD. They jump and he, a few times people came up from behind and, I thought he was going to kill him because, you get startled and people don't understand that, but it's
Yeah.
real. Yeah.
I hate that when somebody startles me because
Right.
if I got a knife on me, it's coming out. I hate to say it. I pulled it out a few times on. So I work for a telecommunications company, and
Mhm.
I work outside of people's homes quite a bit. If I call, they don't answer. I just go and I do my work that I need to do.
Right.
And if they come out and surprise me, that's not a. It's sometimes not a good thing.
Right.
Uh,
I
so
get, I get it.
all right, let's talk about this talking point here. What happens when your training prepares you for a life you never imagined?
Well, I think that how he feels and is that without his PTSD, maybe he wouldn't have did some of the things that he did. He people are always astonished with him. Hey, how are you going to do that? Like I was saying before, he would just do it. He wouldn't think about it. People would be like, what's Danny Zaino going to do next? Especially in the tournament world, they used to talk about that.
Mhm.
But, and I think that's because in that way, maybe his PTSD helped because he didn't think about maybe what the consequences were or if he could do something or if he couldn't do it. He just went for it. So, and then how he handled certain things that maybe other people wouldn't have handled it that way, but he did because of his PTSD, if that makes any sense. So,
Yeah. Yeah, no, and that makes perfect sense because when you're dealing with, your PTSD and you're very hyper vigilant and you're in a competitive situation like that,
mhm,
you're always aware and you're always thinking that 3 or 4 steps ahead of the person that you're going up against, and you're just very hyper vigilant when it comes to that, and that probably helped him in the long run when it comes to competing with martial arts, is thinking 3 or 4 steps ahead of what your
right,
opponent's gonna do,
exactly.
because sometimes controlled chaos is the best chaos, sometimes.
Something.
So, I could see that. I could definitely see that.
Yeah.
Alright, so this book is a tribute to quiet strength and the courage to redefine purpose. So, why is it tributed to that?
Um, well, I think sometimes you sit back and you wonder what is the purpose of my life? Why am I here? Why why did this happen to me? And you have to bring it all into perspective. But again, you can't do that unless you get help. You know,
Mm,
um, I truly believe in that. So,
heck yeah. Heck yeah. Alright. Let's see what time it is. All right, we got a little bit more time. So is there anything that you want to talk about that we haven't talked about when it comes to the book?
well, I think it's a great read for everybody because it has a lot of different topics in it. The main topic is dealing with PTSD, and it's if you've got PTSD like hardcore, it's something you're going to be dealing with your whole life. It doesn't go away, but it's how you deal with it. And like you said before, unfortunately, some vets don't get the help that they need. But it always helps to have a partner that helps too. I'm sure your wife, is there for you, and that's been great for you. Some veterans don't even have that. It's really sad. But the book, it covers a lot of different topics. It starts off with his life growing up in an Italian family up north. He had his dad was a Navy veteran, so it's in the family. He grew up in a really strict upbringing. They moved them down to Florida. He talks about how he hated that because his whole world was up north. He belonged to a gang. It was kind of like a common thing back then up north. And then, he had to restart his whole life here in Florida. He kind of didn't fit in. He wasn't getting along with his dad at the time. They were butting heads a lot. So he joined the military. And boy, were his parents pissed when he joined the military too, because he was 18, because he redid the second grade. So he signed on that dotted line. And then, he talks about how what his dad said is what was going to happen. So when the recruiter came to the house, his dad said, he's going to do this job. And it was military police.
Oh man.
Yeah. And, his talks about, his time in the military and how he got into the martial arts and everything he went through. And when he got out, how he continued in his martial arts, but he had a love for entertainment because when he was in the martial arts, he was on the Army karate team and they did a lot of performing. They went to a lot of high schools and, as a way as recruiting people.
Mm-hmm.
So he had that in him. And then, we always performed, we just didn't do martial arts. We would always do those demonstrations when we were sponsored by Pepsi-Cola. We did all the Hall of Fames. We traveled so much performing. And then it just, one night we were performing for a whole bunch of Korean masters. There's a famous Korean master called YK Kim. And we did such a fantastic job with the show. We got a standing ovation. They gave us our podcast. That's how we got into, they asked us if we would do a podcast. Well, they asked my husband and he was like, well, if my wife can do it with me. So we started this podcast called Danny and Theresa Zaino's Martial Arts Radio Hour. And then we had a second podcast that we got into, Action Entertainment Hollywood News. I kind of took it off my agency, Action Entertainment Talent Agency, and we started, interviewing a lot of the people in that industry. And like I said, we started our martial arts showbiz TV show. We had The Road to Hollywood. Now we have the Hardcore Cooking Show. So it's like his whole life of how he in the Army transitioned into the martial arts. The martial arts took it to the next step, because really competitive people always seem to have to get to the next step.
Yeah. Always looking for the next step.
Yeah. So took that into entertainment, and started up our own production company. But yes, I always leave this one part out. When my husband got out of the military, and I shouldn't leave it out, he was also a Florida police officer too. So
nice.
Saw a lot of that too. He did that for a few years, and that's in the book too. So it covers about family and how difficult it is for the family to deal with the PTSD, how hard that can be, and it talks about forgiveness.
Yeah. So there's a comment here. Strip away the titles. Who are you when you look in the mirror? Too many veterans never take the time to figure that out. It takes working with the right people and building a strong tribe to rediscover purpose. At my core, I found that I am a servant leader, but in the military, it's easy to define yourself by rank, chief, senior chief, or whatever your hat you're wearing, rather than who you really are.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And he says, great point. Competitive people are looking to the next step. Being a martial artist, the pinnacle kind of when it comes to being a martial artist is getting recognized by Hollywood and becoming a stunt coordinator, stunt choreographer, and doing that, especially in the martial arts movies. I mean, if you look back at like the late 80s, early 90s, early 2000s, with all the different martial art movies out there, and the people behind the scenes that are putting together the fight scenes and doing all the stunts and stuff like that. I mean, look at Jackie Chan, you know,
Right.
with everything that he does. You know, he does a lot of his own stunts. I don't even think he uses stunt doubles, but he helps choreograph it, and then he does the stunts himself. And I think once you're in the martial arts world, you know, you can become you know, a master at whatever martial arts you're studying, and then, you know, once you get to that point, once you won all the titles that you can win, what's
Right.
the next step? Well, the next step is getting into the Hollywood scene,
Right.
or if you're over in Korea or somewhere that Japan, getting into the movie scenes there and doing, you know, martial arts for movies and stuff like that. That's your next step of your legacy. I mean, you have, you know, all these belts, all these titles from, you know, all these competitions that from however young to now to you get into that into the
Right.
movies. So all of that's there. But
Right.
what's your next step? What's your next step of your legacy? And that's getting into movies and doing all of that. And then now you got a book out of your, you know, Danny's story and your family's story. One day we might see it on the big screen and see. I
Well,
think that would be super cool.
It's funny you should say that because we are coming out with the film. We've actually been filming for many years behind the scenes of all the stuff that we've done. So we're coming out with, it's probably going to be about an hour and a half feature,
Sure.
or maybe 2.5.
So is it like a docu-series or
Yes, like that.
Awesome.
Action.
Yeah, but with a lot of action in it too. You know, there'll be some
See,
reenactment scenes and stuff like that. Yeah.
that's super cool. I'm already, tell me when and where, because I'm already ready to watch it. So I'm super excited. That's super cool.
Yeah.
I kind of figured there was something in the works, you know,
Mhm.
because I think because it's such an inspiring story, you know, and it's just like, man, this should be a movie. I mean, honestly, your family, the Zaino family,
Mhm.
should it's man, that's super cool.
I
I'm
think
super,
that anybody that reads this book, there's something that they can relate to.
yeah.
If not everything.
What
You know?
about VA abuse?
Yeah.
VA abuse.
Oh, yeah. My husband's yelling in the background, but you know, he went through a lot of, he's saying VA abuse because you get a lot of abuse at the VA. You know?
Don't get me started on the VA because it's the VA is designed to make us as veterans get frustrated and say,
Right.
screw it, I'm not pushing anymore. But that's where you have to be your own advocate
Exactly. Yes.
and push, because nobody's going to be a better advocate for yourself than yourself. Now, I
Right.
will tell you, my wife, I love her to death. There's a comment. I'm gonna put it up on the screen here in a minute. I love my wife to death, but she tells me all the time, nobody can do it but you.
Mhm.
And I think that's the best advice that she's ever given me is
Yeah.
nobody can do it. I can't do it for you. You have to do it. So you got to be your own best advocate. And then this comment here is from Chief Elder. He goes, Willis, if Hank Hill needed a stunt double, would you do it? Hey, Chris, I would be more of Cotton Hill, not Hank. Oh man,
Gosh. So,
I love it. But no, man, I want to say thank you. And I know Danny's back in the background. He's being camera shy. I want to say thank you to both of you guys for coming on and telling us the story of Born to Compete, A Man Without a War. I mean, that's I'm super excited to get it to go to read it. I think that's one of the books that I could actually probably, you know, open up and read. Hopefully, there's some pictures in there. I love pictures.
yeah, like over 200 photos in there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I can't wait. I can't wait. You know, the only thing that would make it better is if you wrote it in red crayon. You know, because us Marines, we love red crowns.
Oh gosh.
But no, I want to say thank you and Danny for coming on here and hanging out with us. You can get the book right here below. It's scrolling across the bottom of the screen, donnainc.net, or any of your major retailers, your Amazon, Barnes and Noble,
Yeah.
any of your major book places that you get. But definitely go check out donnainc.net because That's where you're going to find a lot of information about the Zaino family and their book, Born to Compete, A Man Without a War. So, Miss Theresa, I want to say thank you again. I'm going to end the show, but I'm going to drop you down in the green room and end the show. You can hang out if you want to, or if you need to go on and do things that you got to do with your busy life there.
Well,
But I'm excited.
Really
Hey,
appreciate having me on.
you're very welcome. Like I said, I'm going to connect you with a few of my veteran podcast buddies. Chris
Okay.
Elder, that's in the chat right now, with Milda Vet podcast, Misfit Nation, and a few other veteran podcasters. I'm going to link you together with them, and hopefully we can get you on some more shows.
Okay, awesome.
So, and hopefully Danny will show up on one of their shows.
Yeah, okay.
He might be camera shy now, but well, thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, you're very welcome. Ladies and gents, that was super, super cool. Here, look, this right here, Born to Compete, A Man Without a War, by Miss Theresa Zaino, featuring the life of martial arts legend Danny Zaino, a pulse-pounding novel of family fame and fierce determination. From martial arts to dojo to Kim Kahana Sr., fight choreographer to Hollywood, this is the story of a man born to compete. Visit www.donnainc.net. So go check out donnainc.net. But anyway, guys, I want to say, within TikTok and all the other platforms that we're live on, thank you guys for coming and hanging out with us. Every Sunday, Monday that we're on, we have the same people and multiple people coming in and out the whole time. I'm going to change this. There we go. You guys are why we do what we do. Like I say all the time, this is my therapy, right? This helps me with everything that I deal with. Being able to hear other veteran stories and how they've been resilient throughout their life, and that just helps me, keeps me going forward. So I'm going to start it off by talking about some of our sponsors real quick, and then I'll go into the other stuff. Not sponsors, but partners. First, I'm going to talk about SOF Missions, man. SOF Missions down in Tampa. Amazing organization, man. We went down there for the 5-day clinic, me and Gunny. From minute one, once we pulled in the property and we started meeting the people that were running the organization there on site, we felt like we belonged there. Like, they made sure that we felt like we belonged there. And then the courses, the classes and stuff that we had for the first for the whole time we were there, and then the individual stuff that they did, the massage therapy, the chiropractor, the mental health therapist, everything that we did while we were there. And then when we left, they take care of you for 365 days. 365 days they take care of you. Where a lot of these nonprofits are failing is, you go through their program, whether it's 2, 3, 4 days, 5 days, after you're done, nobody calls and checks up on you. Nobody. But SOF Missions, for 365 days, I get an email once a week from Miss Megan. Hey, Willis, just checking in on you. How are you doing? Do you need anything? That means the world to us as veterans, to have somebody like that, an organization, to reach out to us and say, hey, this is what we're doing for you guys. And there was 11 people, with 12 total, 11 other guys in that clinic with me. And then they had another clinic, and then they have multiple clinics. So they're doing this year round, and they're still checking on the guys from last year, 365 days. So go check out sofmissions.org. Up next, I want to talk about Heroes Media Group. HomeFront Sitrep is a proud member of heroesmediagroup.com. Adam Bird is phenomenal. He takes veteran authors, if they have a book already and they want to turn it into audiobook, he helps do that. He helps with podcast production and everything. So go check out heroesmediagroup.com. Up next is reachaccrossamerica.org/radio. HomeFront Sitrep is on Reach Across America Radio Thursday nights, 11 p.m. Eastern. That's Thursday nights, 11 p.m. Eastern. So go check out reachaccrossamerica.org/radio. Up next is Same Flag, Same Oath.com. Where is my overlay? Go check out Same Flag, Same Oath.com. You can get our shirt, which is over here, this way, whatever way, this way. There we go. Marine it down. Written in red crayon. It's a co-branded shirt with Same Flag, Same Oath.com. Uncle Sam is still wearing it. He ain't washed it yet. So go check out Same Flag, Same Oath.com. All right. Up next, Elite Engraving. I don't have my hat on me tonight. Gunny's not here, but we do have a Richardson 112 with a red HomeFront Sitrep logo leather patch on the front. So you can wear it for Friday for to remember everyone deployed. So go check out eliteengraving24.com. Up next is Valor Coins and Pins. Brent Casey and Brian Casey, the grandsons of Medal of Honor recipient Herschel Woody Williams. They own Valor Coins and Pins. If you go there and I don't have it on me. It's back there. But if you get a coin design or a pin design, 10% I want to say 10% of the profits go to the Woody Williams Foundation to help put Gold Star monuments up around the United States. So go check out Valor Coins and Pins. Up next is RDC Shoes. Darren Davis is a Marine Corps veteran / police officer who created the Patriot and Glory and the Folds of Honor shoes. So go check out rdcshoes.com. And then also go check out HomeFrontSitrep.com as well. Our shirt and hat, they're linked underneath our merch. Some exciting news. We're getting ready to have a new storefront that's coming up. We're going to have 4 new shirts coming out other than this one. So we'll still have this one. We're going to have, you know what? I'm not even going to tell you until it's live. Oh, my camera's deciding to move now on me. So go check out HomeFrontSitrep.com. All right. Up top. Gunny's not here, so I'm a butcher just a little bit. You're not alone. Hashtag you're not alone. Listen, ladies and gents, don't let your dark days win. Pick up the phone, reach out to somebody. It's okay not to be okay, right? It's okay not to be okay. And I think this says it right here the best. In the silence of your struggles, remember, though unseen, you are deeply held in the hearts of others. You are not alone. The uniform may come off, but the bond remains. And together we heal, we rise, and we carry each other forward. And the key word there is together. Together we heal, together we rise, and together we carry each other forward. So, hashtag you're not alone. Hashtag be someone stranger. Listen, guys, we as humans, and we touched on it during this episode with Miss Theresa here, we as humans, we are more apt to talk to a complete stranger than the ones we love the most. So be someone stranger. If you're out and about and you see somebody and it looks like they're having a bad day, go up to them and say, hey, how are you doing? And if they give you the red flags, I'm okay. I'm hanging in there. I'm living the dream. Ask the next hard question. How are you really doing? And be ready for that conversation. It could be a 5-minute conversation. It could be an 8-hour conversation. You just have to be ready for it. And here's the key. Just let them talk. Don't try to fix them. We're not looking for a fix. We're just looking to somebody to get our demons out. What's going on with this? And you never know. You could be the one that saves that person's life. So be someone stranger and ask the next hard question. All right, guys, listen. It takes a village. Find your tribe, find your purpose, find your passion. Whatever you're passionate about, find your tribe. It takes a village. You have a village right here. Go to your contacts. Scroll, land on somebody. Give them a call. It might be somebody you ain't talked to in 10 years. Still hit that button and call. If you get a voicemail, leave a message. Say, hey, man, it's Willis. Just calling and checking on you, man. I haven't heard from you. I'm hoping you're doing okay. Hang up, do it again until you get somebody on the other line. You never know. You might save that person's life on the other end. You never know. What's up, Michael? Echo 3 Whiskey. What's up, buddy? Fix TikTok here. All right, TikTok was about to shut off. So, yeah, it takes a village, ladies and gents. It does. It does. And I think that's everybody tonight. All right. All right, guys. Like we always say on HomeFront Sitrep, stay safe out there. We got your six.
Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed this show.
Suggestions and comments are always welcome.
Cannot wait to have another great show with y'all.
Don't forget you can find HomeFront Sitrep on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
Stay safe out there. I got your six.